Finally, have you heard the term tiny team? Let me hip you to it. Basically, some folks are coming to believe that AI is making startups possible with only 1 or 2 people, and that's it. Quoting the Times. Gamma is among a growing cohort of startups, most of them working on AI products that are also using AI to maximize efficiency. They make money and are growing fast without the funding or employees they would have needed before. The biggest bragging rights for these startups are for making the most revenue with the fewest workers. Stories of tiny team success have now become a meme, with techies excitedly sharing lists that show how Anysphere, a startup that makes the coding software Cursor, hit $100 million in annual recurring revenue in less than 2 years with just 20 employees, and how ElevenLabs, an AI voice startup, did the same with around 50 workers. With AI tools, some startups are now declaring that they will stop hiring at a certain size. Runway Financial, a finance software company, has said it plans to top out at 100 employees because each of its workers will do the work of 1.5 people. Agency, a startup using AI for customer service, also plans to hire no more than 100 workers. It's about eliminating roles that are not necessary when you have smaller teams, said Elias Torres, Agency's founder. The idea of AI-driven efficiency was bolstered last month by DeepSeek, the Chinese AI startup that showed it could build AI tools for a small fraction of the typical cost. Its breakthrough, built on open-source tools that are freely available online, set off an explosion of companies building new products using DeepSeek's inexpensive techniques. DeepSeek was a watershed moment, said Gaurav Jain, an investor at the venture firm Afore Capital, which has backed Gamma. The cost of compute is going to go down very, very quickly, end quote. Mr. Jain compared new AI startups to the wave of companies that arose in the late 2000s after Amazon began offering cheap cloud computing services. That lowered the cost of starting a company, leading to a flurry of new startups that could be built more cheaply. Before this AI boom, startups generally burned $1 million to get to $1 million in revenue, Mr. Jain said. Now getting to $1 million in revenue costs 1/5 as much and could eventually drop to 1/10, according to an analysis of 200 startups conducted by Afore. This time we're automating humans as opposed to just the data centers, Mr. Jain said. But if startups can become profitable without spending much, that could become a problem for venture capital investors who allocate tens of billions to invest in AI startups. Last year, AI companies raised $97 billion in funding, making up 46% of all venture investment in the United States, according to PitchBook, which tracked startups. Venture capital only works if you get money into the winners, said Terrence Rowan, the investor with Otherwise Fund, who focuses on very young startups. He added, if the winner of the future needs a lot less money because they'll have a lot less people, how does that change VC? For now, investors continue to fight to get into the hottest companies, many of which have no need for more money. Scribe, an AI productivity startup, grappled last year with far more interest from investors than the $25 million it wanted to raise. It was a negotiation of what is the smallest amount we could possibly take on, said Jennifer Smith, Scribe's chief executive. She said investors were shocked at the size of her staff, 100 people, when compared with its 3 million users and fast growth. Some investors are optimistic that AI-driven efficiency will spur entrepreneurs to create more companies, leading to more opportunities to invest. They hope that once the startups reach a certain size, the firms will adopt the old model of big teams and big money. Some young companies, including Anysphere, the one behind Cursor, are already doing that. Anysphere has raised $175 million in funding with plans to add staff and conduct research, according to the company's president, Oscar Schultz, end quote.